All right, Scott. So, with all the recent events that have happened in the United States, I find myself working from home like many other folks, and I'm a career professional in the IT industry here in Austin, Texas. I've found it extremely difficult to stay focused amidst the family and the wife and the transition to working from home. Unfortunately for me, my office was the catch-all when we moved into our new house. So now here I am going, oh, I have an office, but it's got several boxes of unmanaged stuff in it, and then I got kids running by in the hallway. I have four children, and a dog, and a wife, and all that other stuff. So I saw your email come across my desk, and it says, "Stay focused and manage distractions while working from home." And I go, "That sounds about right. That's exactly what I need to succeed in this type of environment." So help me if you can. Please help me.
Yeah, David, I'd be glad to. It sounds to me like what you're doing is you're working from home at a circus, and you've got all these players and kids and things going on, and you're trying to focus and take action, and it's probably a little bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, to say the least.
Yeah. So, I found a lot of people who, the first week or so when they have to go work from home, it's shelter at home, and the boss says, yes, you can go work from home. The first couple of days they come in, sit on the couch, pull up the coffee table, and they get to work, and that lasts for a day or two. The kids are running everywhere, and you're in the middle of a train wreck, and so then they figure out they need to go move somewhere else, and that's really important. So I came up with about six things that are helping people be able to negotiate and navigate through this work from home experience. And I'm hoping I can save their sanity, save their job because they'll still be productive. It's just it's a riot. So yeah, I'd love to help you out.
Now you've been doing this for a while though. This isn't your first stab at this, obviously. You've been a career coach, and maybe you can give the appropriate title there, but this isn't your first rodeo.
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, I've worked from home far more than I've worked in an office, and it's great. I love it. Now, when people hear that, they think, "Oh, well, sure, you love it. You don't have to get dressed up. You can just wake up in your robe, and everything is fine." And that's not the case at all. I get up early every morning, and I get cleaned up, and I have office hours. I go to my office, and I go to work, and it's really helped me in having a routine to stay focused. And that's part of what I want to share with you today. Yeah, I've been doing this for 25 years. So I'm a guru at work from home.
Okay. So what is it that, I mean, people have, I walked into this with a certain idea of what this was going to be like. Again, I've been married for 12 years. I know my wife pretty well, and I have four children. I hope I know them pretty well too. And I had these expectations of, okay, so we're transitioning into this work from home environment, and I'm just going to go into my office. I'm going to sit down, and the kids are going to behave, watch a movie or two, and I'm going to run my phone calls from Zoom, and which is a little bit of a transition. And then every single expectation that I had about what I was going to eat, what I was going to wear, how things were going to happen in the hallway right outside my study just got completely shattered. So, what what's the trick there in terms of expectations?
Yeah, that's a great question. The idea is we do have something in our head. We have this vision of what working from home is going to look like. And I guess the first thing that I should say is you need to reset your expectations because you are not going to get as much accomplished as you think you would at home for a lot of reasons. For one thing, when you start working from home, you feel disconnected and frustrated because you're not at the office. Your internet usually is moving slower and it drags
Yeah.
if you have a hardwire connection at all. A lot of people are having to use Wi-Fi at home, and then your kids are there, and they want your attention. You forget that they don't wake up at the same time. There's meals in the morning and lunch in the afternoon, and you have invaded their workspace, and they don't understand that you're working from home. Hey, Dad, can you talk? Hey, Mom, can we go outside? Yeah, is that right?
That's exactly it. And this is the thing. I don't think I should I think you said it appropriately. I'm invading their space
That's
as it
right.
stands right now. They were here before me. I always go off to work. They were here before me. They have more territory in this house than I do. And so for me to expect them to understand that, dad's works for an IT firm, and I need you to be quiet. They're like, I don't know why, right? Like, why is dad so serious all the time when he's here during the day? It's not like Saturday when I can have fun with them. It's, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and they're like, well, this is like Saturday when dad comes home, right? When dad's home from work, and it's not. It's completely different. And so, yeah, I think you said it correctly. I'm invading their space more
Yeah,
than they're
my
invading
wife
mine.
will even she'll open the door and she'll say, "What are you screaming for?" And I'll say, "I'm not screaming. I'm on a Zoom call or I'm doing a keynote." Why do you have to be so loud? I'm not being loud. I'm just doing my thing. Well, you're never this loud usually.
Yeah, yeah. And my wife comes in. She goes, "Did you need something? I heard you yelling." I'm like, "No, I'm not yelling for you. I'm talking on the phone." I'm like, I'm just trying to enunciate my words properly. She's like, "Did you need something? Do you want a glass of water?" And I'm like, "No, I don't need anything. I'm good."
Go away. Go
Go
away.
away. Close the door. Get the dog out of here. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that dog, I don't know. My dog loves me, and so I'll get one of those every once in a while too. Just a little shh, shh on the door, and I'm like, ah. So anyway,
So that really takes us to the next point. And the next point is if you're gonna work at home, get a designated workspace. If you've got a spare bedroom, that's great, where you can move into it for your workspace. The kitchen table's probably not the best place, but if you have a formal dining room, then usually that might not be a bad place. You can shut off some doors and you have a table that's not disturbed all the time. But get a designated workplace that is at least semi-secluded so that you can go in, you can go to work, you can focus for a little bit. Make sure you've got some kind of desk or table. A card table's not probably a good choice because they're real flimsy and
something sturdy, right? Yeah.
yeah, something sturdy.
Now
If you have a
you
printer or you can borrow a printer, have a printer because you're going to need to print stuff.
Now, you and I met almost 16 years ago, and I can't remember who taught me this, but I'm going to give you credit since I'm on the phone with you right now. That whole designated workspace thing has been a game changer because I've tried doing work from the couch or in our theater room or out on the back patio even, but there is a lot to be said about having a designated workspace in one specific spot. That way, when you walk away from it, you are walking away from your work and you're walking away from that stress and you're walking away from those entanglements, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that. There's a lot to that. You know, at home, you still need a place to go to work and a place to leave from work. And
Yeah.
so having a designated workspace is really good. You need to be able to shut the door or pull something across so that it lets people know you're there. You might even have a sign that says, "I'm on a Zoom call" or a Zoom conference that you hang up so that if they're paying attention, they can at least
Trust
notice
me,
that.
I'm trying to wire one of those red lights outside my door that I can just flip the switch and just do the red light things like, hey, I'm on a call.
Which
Um,
brings up something else. Hold on. Your background. My
yes.
wife has been working from home now for a couple of weeks, and we spent 2.5 hours turning her desk to figure out which of the four walls was going to be her Zoom wall background.
Right.
She
Right.
can't use virtual, and that's important because what people see your home,
Yes.
and so what do you want them to see?
Right. And I noticed, and this is one of the first things I noticed when I got on the Zoom call with you a couple of days ago, was your face is well lit. You have very few shadows on your face at all.
Good.
I've read a lot and watched a lot of YouTube tutorials on how to be well lit and stuff like that. And I finally this situation forced me to hang up these curtains that are right behind me because they're blue, and green screens, or excuse me, blue screens are almost as good as green screens. So I go, hey, I got some navy blue curtains. I'm going to hang them up
Yeah,
in the back, get the lighting right. And I noticed that your lighting is a lot better than most people I Zoom with. They have shadows on their face, or it's not well lit, or they look like that person that's sitting way back here in the corner of their
yeah.
screen, something like that. So I noticed that's one of the first things I noticed about how you position yourself is your face is well lit, easy to see. Your background is engaging. You got some of your coaching material up there on the wall, which is awesome. So it's good stuff. So let me ask you this: once we get our space taped off, I even thought about using blue tape at one point, painter's tape. But once we get our space taped off and we get our background correct, um, this is a problem when your environment at work is suited for what you're supposed to be doing, but now we're in an environment not suited for what we're supposed to be doing. How do we choose what to do first?
Yeah, that's really an important question. I have a job because many people struggle with figuring out their priorities. What's my primary responsibility, my secondary responsibility, and all of that. And if you have muddy priorities, let me just say this: working from home amplifies your strengths and your weaknesses. And if you struggled to stay focused at work, you're really going to struggle to stay focused at home. And so when you're clear about what you're saying yes to and you know what your priorities are, then it's easy to say no to distractions. But if you're not clear about your priorities, you're going to be in trouble. And one of the things that I recommend is that every day or every week, maybe if you're a team leader or if you are a team leader, get with your team and say, okay, this week, what are your top 5? What are the top 5 things that you need to work on this week? And what are your top 2 issues that we need to resolve? That's a good go-to rule, whether you're working at home or at the office. What are my top 5 and what are my top 2? And when you're clear about that, then you can say, okay, these are the things that I need to work on today or this week.
Yeah,
Isn't that
because
simple?
yeah, absolutely. And see, this was my biggest conundrum is because sometimes, uh, like my wife will say things like she will choose to do something she hates to avoid doing something she loathes, if that makes sense, right? And it's true. If you don't pick your top 5 priorities, you'll do the avoidance method where you're just avoiding that thing that you really should be taking care of. So how do you choose those 5 big rocks though? I mean, that's been my biggest struggle this whole time. Is it seems like the amount of things I have to do have now compounded. Is there a way you would recommend uh, writing it out, or is there a
So there's
graph
a
or a
couple of
chart or something?
things.
How do you choose?
There's a couple of things that I do recommend, and they're kind of part of where we're going. So um, the next point that I wanted to introduce kind of helps with that, and that is use an online dashboard. And
Okay.
Trello is one that I recommend. There's a lot of other ones out there, Slack and some others, but I personally really like Trello. Trello is a project management online dashboard that lets you and or your whole team connect to it, so you can see what your projects are and what your bullet points are and where you are along the way. So that helps you to at least identify what your primary and secondary focus, your big rocks and small rocks are, and then create some bullet points, some task lists, so that you can see how you're doing it. Sometimes they call those key performance indicators,
Yeah,
so
KPIs,
that
those are
you
big.
can know if you're on track, ahead of schedule, behind schedule on some of those. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the been the biggest game changers in my life is whether you're an emotionally driven person or you're a logically driven person, you have to have those KPIs, because if you don't have those KPIs, you never really know where you're at, because my feelings could deceive me. I felt like I did a lot today, but if you actually have those things in a KPI format, you can tell how far you've actually gone, because like when you're running, a mile is a mile, right? There's no cheating. You either
Yeah,
ran a mile or you didn't, right?
yeah.
So those KPIs are, I found them to be incredibly important.
KPIs are a football scoreboard,
Yeah,
and they tell you how long you've been in the game, how much time you got left in the game, what quarter you're in, if what down and what your yardage is, and how
yeah,
many touchdowns you made. And it's the only way to help us stay productive. That's why they call it key performance
sure,
indicators.
sure.
So yes, setting some of those up helps. And then that really takes me down to the 5th thing. And the 5th thing is create a routine. When you're working at home, you need a routine. And a routine is just a systematic schedule of what you intend to do in time. And let's not make it complicated. Let's keep it simple. Number one, you need a routine for your family. Okay. And that's something that you have some control over, not a lot of it. But if you have some control about, like my neighbor, for instance, he's a professor, he's having to work from home. He has 4 small children. And I asked him, how are you doing it, man? And he said, oh my God, I'm pulling
Yeah,
my hair
yeah,
out.
yeah. I'm pulling my.
Yeah, yeah.
I got four
How
as
did you
well.
do it? And he said, well, it's really simple. He said, we've kind of found some things that are already there in their routine. So number one, they get up in the morning and we set a time when we're waking them up. And what do they do after they wake up? They go eat breakfast. Great. So we're going to have a window frame of time you get up till you go eat breakfast, 30 minutes, something like that. And then after that, they may have some designated time, but before long, just like in a school day, you go to school. All right. I want you to go back to your room. You have room time, and I want you to work on your schoolwork for an hour, for 90 minutes, whatever it is. And then video time or movie time. You can watch a movie. And then by that time, it's lunch. We do another
Yeah,
lunch.
yeah.
And then it's back to your room for school. If they can go outside, they can go outside. But the point is, your kids at school are accustomed to a very specific routine.
Yeah. Yep.
Keep that for them. You're not breaking their heart. That's what they're accustomed to. So create a routine for your family and your kids.
Scott, it's such good advice because the first time we talked was right at the beginning of this whole pandemic thing, and there's lots of questions in my mind still. But since that time, you'll be happy to know that, like, I started talking to my wife about this, and I said, we were all waking up as a family at roughly 6 a.m. every morning for them to go to school. And then for some reason during this whole thing, like now they're waking up like 7:30, 8:30. One kid's waking up at this time, the other kids are waking up. And I looked at her and said, "Hey, look, let's get their alarms set again. Like, why are we
Yeah.
not setting their alarms anymore?" And so just real briefly, we have their alarms go off at a specific time. We have them do their first two chores, then they eat breakfast, then they get dressed, which you've already addressed. Is it like not only
Yes.
do I get dressed in a collared shirt, but now I'm having my kid, like, you're not going to wear jammies all day long. And I can't impose that rule on my wife. I let her do her own thing. but the kids for sure, I'm like, hey, lace up your shoes. Like put some socks and shoes on. Put your, your cleaner house shoes, of course, but lace up your shoes. And so by 9 o'clock, they've already finished quite a bit, and they're starting their schoolwork, and they do their school from 9 to 12, and then they do lunch, and then they do what we call recess, right? We make them go outside, and then they jump back into the second half of their chores. Then we do dinner. Then there's the nighttime routine, and it brings a sense of sanity that I didn't have 3 weeks ago, right? So anyway,
Yeah.
lots changed since the first time we talked a couple weeks ago. It's been really good.
Yeah. So take advantage of that. Um, the first week or two, people don't do that. And people
Sure.
wake up, stay in their jammies, they do whatever. But, you go into 5, 6 weeks of pandemic, work from home, you have to have some kind of routine for your family. Well, the second thing is have a routine for yourself. Now, you're working at home. The average person at work only has maybe 6 hours of really productive time. They don't have 8 hours of productive time. They might have six, some have less. And
Sure.
so I put a suggested routine together that you need to coordinate with your family's routine. So 2 hours of focus. After breakfast, the kids get breakfast, you get in your office and do 2 hours of focused attention. And then after 2 hours, take a 30-minute break and do Zoom calls and or do a 30-minute break and hang out with your family, go check with them, see what's going on. Hey, Dad. Hey, kids, what's happening?
Yeah,
But
I have to check
then,
and make sure my wife's surviving. Are you okay? Because
really, I mean,
they
rescue
outnumber
your
her,
wife.
right? Yeah,
You
you go.
got me into this.
Yeah, yeah. You go hide in the corner for a minute. I'll take care of her for 15 minutes
That's
or so.
exactly right. Give her a break.
Yeah,
But then
yeah,
after
yeah.
that, do 30 minutes of email or phone calls or Zoom calls or something and touch base with your team or customers or whatever. And then come back for another 2 hours of focused work. Again, take a 30-minute break for your kids, 30-minute break for Zoom calls, and then another 2 hours of focused work to wrap up the day. Oh my God, that is 6 hours of focused work. And if you're able to do that, you're going to get a lot done. But you've created a routine that makes it possible. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I appreciate all this insight because it's been incredibly helpful for helping maintain some semblance of sanity here during this whole process. But
Well, let me wrap it up with, because I know I've taken a lot of your time today, but Number 6, the last thing that I recommend in this staying focused and managing your distractions while you're working at home is love on your family. When work time is over, shut the door, leave the office, leave that spare bedroom, leave the formal dining room, and go love on your family. Give your spouse a break, whether that's a husband or a wife, whatever it is. Go watch some home movies, go outside. If you have a swimming pool, if you want to take a walk around the neighborhood, just get off work and love on your family, because they're just as freaked out and frustrated. Kids aren't getting to see all their friends. They can't be in sports. They can't be in band. They can't be in dance or any of that. They're frustrated. So y'all go have some fun and love on each other as a family.
Yeah, exert some energy, right? Like get out there and maybe play catch or just walk around, like you were saying. That's a great idea. Now, let me I'm going to share your contact information here, and talk to us a little bit about like what you do outside of this conversation, right? Because you alluded to it at the beginning. I asked you about it at the beginning.
You
But
bet.
here's your contact information shared on a whiteboard here. But what this isn't the only thing you do.
Not at all. So I'm a keynote speaker, and I speak to conferences. I also do leadership retreats, and really what I do is I energize key leaders to focus and take action on their goals, their priorities, and their team issues. And I do it again from the stage as a keynote or in retreats, half day, full day, 2-day retreats, and then I do these virtual presentations as well. I mean, we all have learned to get proficient at virtual presentations. So whether people want to work with me personally one-on-one, or they want to watch one of my videos, or they have me for a conference or come in and do an in-house retreat, any of those things, that's how I make my living. That's how I serve my country and serve my people.
Well, you've been so helpful to me since my first week out of college. At 22 years old, you were my first ever business coach, coming straight out of college, and here we are again. Gosh, almost 16 years later, and I've changed quite a bit, but your help is still needed, and I appreciate all your insight and your ability to.
You know what, David? One thing hasn't changed about you, and that is the fact that you're hungry for change and innovation. You
right.
always have been somebody who wanted to better yourself, and I have great admiration for that, and it has paid off for you. So
thank you.
Congratulations. Hey, there's one thing else I want to bring in.
Yeah.
After you finish work and you've taken care of your family a little bit, go have a virtual happy hour and get a dozen of your friends together, your peers, the people you work with, and for 45 minutes, drink a glass of wine, let them drink whatever they want to, and have a virtual happy hour.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't need a designated driver anymore, huh?
That's right. That's right.
Nice and safe at home, have a half a glass of something, right?
That's it. That's it.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Again, you're always so helpful, always able to provide good, clear direction for folks like myself. Always worth the money. And again, I appreciate you.
Hey, thanks very much, David. This has been a lot of fun. And I wish you the best of luck. And we'll have to have a face-to-face meeting in a few weeks.
Sounds good.